Hey guys, welcome back. It's Eisen from Nerdico again, and today we're going to be discussing horror. Now, I'll preface this by okay. Hold on 1 second, guys.
This is. This is. This is.
What?
This is boring.
This this is not horror. Seriously. Are we so far removed from appreciating quality filmmaking that horror absolutely demands that we're now happily accepting any schlop that Hollywood decides to funnel down to us, the beggars? No, I can no longer accept that. For an entire decade, I did accept it. I accepted the schlop, along with every other beloved fan of horror who retains an attention span that does not require jump scares to retain attention. I'm gonna level with you. This may very well have been the most turbulent and difficult decade to have been a fan of horror. Seeing beloved franchises receiving reboots and remakes that only serve to tarnish their legacies. Did we need another Friday the 13th? Do we really need another Nightmare on Elm Street? I don't know. Maybe. Not really. I thought we were done. But there was a silver lining this decade, and it did start to make shifts in the new era of horror. Here to stay was the art house horror. Artsy, introspective films have never been a stranger to the silver screen. That's been around forever. But within horror culture, however, the subgenre represents maybe about a 10% of the entire genre. I'm talking years of cinema, with critical and commercial successes of art house films being a real rarity over the last 100 years. There's no question it was not in the same league as the famed slasher or the monster subgenres that have reigned supreme over the years, all with their own tenured franchises and becoming household names. Most often, films that leaned into the art house style were labeled as cult classics, and they called it a day. Films like 1977's Eraserhead or even 2010's Black Swan will never be a casual moviegoer's example of a horror film, but it's only due to decades of underlying themes such as mental illness never really being scary enough for audiences, and most often than not, the message is usually missed entirely. Is it fair? Maybe not. But at the end of the day, the consumer decides what they like, and Hollywood must deliver and never deviate from formula.
Back to formula.
So, how do we as an audience know we're watching an art house film? Most art house films at their core are indie or independent films. This establishes, in my opinion, the most crucial aspects of the subgenre. Sub 90-minute runtimes and partnering with studios outside of the Hollywood network. This may lead to smaller budgets and filmy constraints, but in exchange, directors receive the freedom to experiment and a much bigger focus on innovating the practical effects as well as the cinematography. All this innovation ultimately led to the little success over the past 100 years, however. Who's to blame for the lack of revenue or respect? Does it say more about the audience's lack of focus and desire to search through a film to find its possible meaning or message? Or is it the director's inability to deliver a cohesive direction that a majority of the audience can follow? Whose responsibility does it ultimately fall on when smaller productions don't succeed? Films like 2019's The Lighthouse compacted multiple themes, religious and Greek mythos parallels, while also shot in black and white and leaving room for the film's overall message and ending to be left to your own interpretation as a spectator. Yet despite the number of discussions a film like this can conceive after multiple viewings, fifth and even sixth installments in franchises that deteriorate in quality quickly and offer nothing but gore and jump scares still manage to outgross these films 3 times over. Quantity over quality is the name of the game here. Hollywood would rather invest in high quality gore and pay James Wan to create this stupid ass Vaughnverse than to invest in innovation and risk. I think Hollywood's lazy and playing it safe mentality could be perfectly summed up with some good old fashioned stats. 5 Purge films and a spin-off, 3 Conjurings and 3 Annabelles, 4 Insidious films, I can't even recall the last 2 ever coming out, and 9 Saw films. 9! That's over 180 hours of me searching for my self-dignity. And to top all of this ingenious creativity off, we were gifted 27 remakes of classic films. Over 10 of these remakes already had more than 3 films in their respective franchises. Did we need more? The only horror franchises that have infinite passes to remakes are Leprechaun and Gremlins. It's self-explanatory. I don't need to explain myself to you. Don't ask.
I come from the land of the Irish Spring. Dublin's the place where I learned my thing. From the Emerald Isle to your place in the hood, I'm the man of green, come to do no good.
It started with the release of It Follows in 2014, followed by The Babadook and The Witch, released within a 4-year period, where horror enthusiasts treated to a consistent stream of quality, thought-provoking narratives that masqueraded as horror. Not only were these films critical and commercial successes, but names such as Ari Aster and Robert Eggers were becoming household names outside of just the sphere of horror fans. Consistency in sales, directing, and quality. It's honestly amazing to be a part of this transition of horror that has such a high ceiling. It really does allow me to sleep peacefully at night knowing that James Wan is not our savior. For anyone who is a lover of cinema, whether it be horror, romance, action, or sci-fi, we need to show our support with our wallet. It starts with supporting small theaters in your city that stave away from just premiering whatever films are getting the most advertisement on social media. Those are the true gems in the industry that have been keeping the indie and art house genre alive for decades. Without them, we wouldn't have Midsommar premiering in almost every theater in major cities. We're still a long way to go. I have faith in my horror aficionados to keep our favorite genre headed in the right direction. Anyways, thanks for sticking around and letting me ramble a little bit. If there are any topics that nerd culture has to offer that you want discussed, drop a comment down below. If you guys enjoy the content, I'd appreciate the thumbs up, or if you want me exiled, a thumbs down is an option too. Till next time, nerds.